All right. So, informal research methods for an outside perspective. Long title, pretty simple. First of all, we acknowledge once again that any audience is never singular. Every group of people is multifaceted, has multiple identities and experiences and backgrounds and demographics and psychographics and everything, right? Um, Not even in a family can you actually say that everybody in this family thinks a particular way. It just doesn't happen. So when you begin to write for a larger and larger and larger audience, there is more and more and more nuance to make space for, more and more nuance to appreciate, to research, to investigate, um, which, to be honest with you, is why it's so hard to write for a general audience, because the general public is nothing alike, right? So what we need to do is make space for those multiple perspectives, experiences, counter arguments. And to let you know, this is a graded portion of your paper. You must have an outside perspective. But good news, you don't have to have research. So I'm not asking you to go online and find, Google something about Mason students' multiple perspectives, right? It's not going to come up in the first place. Um, Although I suppose this video might come up. But other than that, that's it. So what we need to do is do informal research. Informal research is a lot like talking to people, a lot like sitting around thinking about stuff, taking a walk, thinking about stuff, talking to people. That's what I mean by informal research. So, first and foremost, you can consider yourself, right? Which is probably where you should start since it's a narrative argument. Consider yourself and consider like what other perspectives you may have had at a different point in your life or given different changes or something like that, right? You can consider those, jot those down really quick. You can also go through and do some informal research, um, out there. You can read the student newspaper. You can go on to, some student Mason Twitter feed or whatever social media account and go through and actually see what people are talking about and how they're talking about things and how people are having different discussions about topics. Maybe one of the topics is yours, maybe not, but you get to know more and more about the group of people and the multifaceted lifestyles that they all have. And they all kind of share and interact through all of these differences. So you can do that sort of informal research. You can also go through and, of course, talk to your classmates. But the other or the outside perspective that you end up getting in class may not actually be the best one to include in your paper. That one should be something that has to do with someone who does have a different demographic, does have a different psychographic than yourself, who's coming from a different place than where you are. That is oftentimes the most valuable, enriching kind of outside perspective that we can add. Um, so go through and do some informal research, right? Read some things, get to know the audience a bit more, get to know the nuances of the audience. Talk to classmates, talk to roommates, talk to other people that the only thing is that they have to be part of the group. So they still have to be a Mason student. So no offense, your mom's perspective or your caregiver's perspective, your brother or sister's perspective, unless they went to Mason, not really what we're looking for here. What we're looking for is a perspective from the audience, from someone who is a part of the audience that is different or additional to your own. So go through, seek out those additional perspectives, and that is what we will include in our papers. All right.